The humans called it a death world. The galaxy called it an excuse. For 3 centuries, Earth's petitions to the Galactic Senate had been met with derisive silences and backhanded concessions. Let them colonize the asteroid belts, the Ventari sneered, their gaseous forms rippling with amusement. Let them play soldier in their volcanic crucibles. Humanity's resilience was a curiosity, their tenacity a parlor joke. Look at the apes, still digging trenches as if supernovas care about dirt. But when Major Kael Reyes, decorated survivor of the Mariana Trench eruption and 12 other unclassified geological anomalies, was nominated to represent Sol System, the laughter curdled. The Ventari High Council reviewed his file with the clinical disgust of surgeons dissecting a tumor. Lava surfing, forced lithification, adaptive cannibalism of inorganic matter, barbarisms, all proof that humans were little more than sentient roaches, scurrying through radioactive storms and calling it ingenuity. They never considered that Earth's horrors were a forge, not a failing. That a species raised on tectonic tantrums and acid monsoons might view their gilded utopias not with envy, but pity. When the summit invitation arrived, encrypted in helium-3 and condescension, Kael accepted without ceremony. He packed his armor, his father's seismograph, and a single data chip labeled weather report in his dead lover's handwriting. The Senate expected a groveling savage. They would receive a geologist. Somewhere in the Andromeda fringe, a corsair warlord tasted static on the solar wind and grinned. The storm was coming. Chapter 1. The Galactic Senate chamber smelled like ozone and hubris. Major Kael Reyes noted the irony as he stepped onto the iridescent debate floor, his boots leaving faint ashen prints on the polished onyx. Above him, holographic sigils of 1,000 civilizations pulsed in patronizing harmony, their light glinting off the volcanic rock fused to his armor. The Ventari delegation loomed at the central dais, their gelatinous forms undulating inside pressurized bubbles, gas giant aristocrats, who considered solid ground a primitive fantasy. Kael's jaw tightened. He'd seen what their kind left behind, colonies stripped of atmospheres, refugee fleets adrift in asteroid graveyards. Hypocrites, he thought, dripping venom about barbarism, while their gold-plated dreadnoughts glass moons for sport. A murmur rippled through the chamber as he approached. Alien eyes, compound, slit-pupilled, lidless, tracked him with clinical disdain. His cybernetic left hand twitched, phantom nerves recalling the weight of Alara's fingers, slipping through his grasp as the volcano swallowed her. Focus. He halted before the dais, the Senate's silence thicker than the sulphurous air of his dying homeworld. The lead Ventari delegate, a quivering mass of bioluminescent tendrils, spoke without a mouth. Its voice oozed from wall-mounted resonators, syrup-smooth and serrated. Major Reyes, humanity's petition for a Senate seat is quaint, but your species' propensity for violence disqualifies you. Deathworlders lack the nuance for governance. Kael's thumb brushed the jagged obsidian shard riveted to his chest plate, Alara's last gift, hurled to him as the caldera erupted. Take it, she'd screamed over the roar of collapsing bedrock, her hazmat suit melting into kaleidoscopic scars. Show them what we endure. He inhaled the memory's heat searing his lungs. Violence, he said, the word a gravel-drawn blade. The chamber's acoustics sharpened it to a scalpel's edge. You mistake survival for savagery. With a flick of his wrist, he projected Earth's weather patterns above the dais, hurricanes swirling like God-sickened drain holes, acid storms etching canyons into steel-reinforced cities. The Ventari trilled laughter, a sound like shattering chandeliers. Child's play, the delegates sneered. The Zeta-9 maelstroms shred planets daily. Kael let their mirth curdle. Fools. He cued the real footage, time-lapses of worlds where tornadoes spun event horizons, where rains fell as liquid antimatter. A Thoraxian dust storm appeared, its trillion crystalline shards slicing a continent to skeletal ruins. The laughter died. Earth is a death world, he said, quiet as a caldera's breath before detonation. But we're not the monsters here. The silence that followed was a living thing, coiled and venomous. The Ventari's bioluminescence dimmed, their bubbles contracting. As Kael turned to leave, a flicker on a subordinate's holographic pad snagged his gaze, coordinates encrypted with military-grade ciphers, the characters trembling under hurried keystrokes. Secrets, he thought, blood singing with the same dark rhythm as the magma flows that had birthed him. The Senate's exit corridor was a throat of cold titanium. Kael's boots echoed like gunshots in the sterile air, the weight of Alara's obsidian a brand against his sternum. He passed a viewport, Earth a blue-green pebble in the void. They see a backwater. We see a miracle. His comlink buzzed, a priority alert from Dr. Voss's old lab, now his team's HQ. Data packets scrolled across his retinal display, seismic readings from Vindara, the Ventari's alleged gas giant, anomalies, oxygen traces, lies. A shadow detached itself from an alcove. Jero, the Ventari whistleblower, their forms shrouded in a stolen environmental suit. They're hiding a utopia, they hissed, voice modulator crackling with static. Vindara's a garden, not a storm. My sister. A tremor. She mined its rings. They erased her. Kael studied the alien. Desperation leaked from their posture like radiation. Useful, he thought, but dangerous. Why tell me? You're the only one who'd burn heaven to save hell. The words hung between them, a lit fuse. Jero pressed a data chip into his palm. Alara's research, stolen from Senate archives. Her handwriting flooded his vision, equations dancing with her ghost's grace. I could finish her work, he realized, or avenge it. The bar was a cave of shadows and regret, carved into a derelict freighter's hull. Kael hunched over a synth whiskey, the glass scarred like his armor. Around him, mercenaries and miners traded stories in guttural tongues, their faces maps of hard-lived years. He replayed Jero's chip, Alara's notes on geoengineering, her sketches of a device to stabilize tectonic plates, not a weapon, she'd scribbled in the margins, a lifeline. A corsair loomed over his table, tusks glinting. Heard you shamed the Senate, Deathworlder. Methane breath roiled across the table. Bet you've stories worth credits. Kael sipped his drink, lava surfer calm, steadying his pulse. Stories are cheap. He slid Alara's obsidian shard across the table, a jagged black mirror. This is a lesson. The corsair frowned, reaching. Kael's cybernetic hands snapped up, pressing the stone into the pirate's palm. Blood welled around its edges. Fragile, Kael murmured, like your bones in Earth's gravity. The corsair fled. Kael pocketed the stone, its surface smeared with alien blood. Alara would have hated that, he thought. But Alara's not here. Nod Dawn found him in the lab. Jero's data bleeding across screens. Vindara's storms were holograms. Its climate a CEO's wet dream. Kael cross-referenced Alara's equations, her voice a phantom in the humming servers. Balance, she'd whispered once, tracing a magma flow's path on his skin. Life's about counter-pressure. His finger hovered over the transmit key. The corsair's blood had dried to rust on the obsidian. Burn heaven to save hell. He closed his eyes, and in the darkness, Alara's smile was a supernova. The coordinates leaked at 0300. By 0315, the first pirate fleet mobilized. Chapter 2. The stars outside the Iron Compass Tavern burned cold and mocking. Their light filtered through grime-caked viewports. Kael Reyes watched them flicker like dying coals, the obsidian shard in his palm still faintly smeared with corsair blood. The synth whiskey in his other hand tasted like regret, sharp and synthetic. Burn heaven to save hell, Jero had said. The data chip the Ventari trader had given him hummed in his pocket, a persistent insect. Alara's equations glowed behind his eyelids, her ghost murmuring about balance, about pressure relief valves for dying worlds. He'd ignored her. Again, the bar's air recyclers wheezed, pumping in the musk of unwashed mercenaries and rusting metal. A Thoraxian miner slumped at the next table, their carapace cracked from a cave-in, mandibles clicking a dirge. Kael's cybernetic fingers traced the scars on his armor, grooves left by lava that had swallowed Alara whole. She'd have found another way. But Alara was ash, and the Senate's laughter still rang in his skull, tinny and bright as a scalpel. The door hissed open. Jero's stolen environmental suit glinted in the gloom, their Ventari form blurred behind the visor. They slid into the booth, gloved hands trembling. "They're searching the lower decks," they whispered, static chewing the edges of their voice. "Senate enforcers, they know you leaked Vendara." Kael didn't move. The whiskey's burn spread through his chest, familiar as self-loathing. "You knew they would." Jero's helmet tilted, a gesture that might have been a flinch. "I need your help. The Corsairs took my sister's body, her remains, their evidence." Evidence of what? Kael almost asked, but he'd seen the files. Vendara's climate reports scrubbed clean, the lush forests and cerulean lakes hidden behind holographic storms. The Ventari had built their utopia atop mass graves, just like we built cities on fault lines. He tossed back the whiskey. "Where?" "The data nexus, Sector 7 Gamma." He stood, the obsidian shard biting his palm. "Keep up." Nigh Sector 7 Gamma stank of decay and ionized fear. The corridor's walls oozed black sludge, the remains of a bioweapon attack a decade past. Kael's boots stuck to the floor with each step, a wet, organic sound that made his spine crawl. Jero trailed behind, their suits' filters hissing. "The Nexus is guarded," they said. "AI sentries, keyed to Ventari biosignatures. Then you'll knock." Kael palmed a seismic charge from his belt, its weight a cold comfort. Alara had hated these, too blunt, she'd called them. Like using a comet to crack an egg. But comets got results. The Nexus door loomed ahead, a slab of alloy etched with Senate sigils. Jero hesitated. "If we trigger the alarms, you'll die a martyr." Kael primed the charge. "Or live a traitor. Pick fast." The blast tore the door into shrapnel. Alarms wailed, red light drenching the room in blood. Jero lunged for a terminal, their gloves dancing across the keys. Kael turned, his rifle humming to life. The first sentry rounded the corner, a spider-legged horror with plasma cannons for eyes. He fired, the recoil jolting his shoulder. The sentry exploded in a shower of sparks, the stench of burnt circuitry searing his nostrils. "Almost there," Jero shouted. Kael's cybernetic arm shuddered as he smashed another drone. Alara would have hacked them, but Alara wasn't here. The thought was a grenade pin, pulled and tossed. Jero yanked a crystal drive from the terminal. Got it. Her last transmission. She knew what they were doing. "Move." Kael grabbed their arm, dragging them into the corridor. Behind them, the Nexus collapsed in a roar of flame. "Nice." The safe house was a coffin, a storage closet in a derelict freighter, its walls dented from long-dead brawls. Jero hunched over the crystal drive, their suits' joints creaking. Her name was Liz, they said suddenly. She mined Vendara's rings, found the terraforming arrays. They spaced her for it. Kael said nothing. He'd heard the same story 100 times, on 100 worlds. Greed wore the same face everywhere. Human, Ventari, Corsair. He unwrapped a ration bar, the taste like chalk and surrender. The drive's hologram flickered to life. A woman's face filled the room. Liz, her features sharp and haunted, her eyes the same bioluminescent green as Jero's. "Repeat. Vendara is a Class 1 garden world," she whispered, her voice frayed. "The storms are projections. They're exterminating colonies to hide it. If anyone hears this..." Static swallowed her. The hologram died. Jero's helmet bowed. They called her a liar. Erased her. Kael studied the drive. "And you think this'll change anything?" "No." Jero's modulator crackled. "But it's all I have left." The admission hung between them, a shard of glass. Kael thought of Alara's last smile, the way she'd shoved him toward the evacuation pod. "Go, I'll hold the line." He'd watched the magma take her, her hand still raised in farewell. He stood. "We're done." Jero stiffened. "What?" "The Senate's hunting me. The Corsairs are hours from Vendara. You got your evidence. Now get out. You're just giving up." Kael laughed, a sound like grinding tectonic plates. "I'm letting go." He tossed the crystal drive at their feet. Your sister's dead, so's Alara. Burn the galaxy if you want, it won't bring them back. He walked out, the door sealing behind him with a final sigh. The Senate's brig was colder than space. Kael leaned against the cell wall, the obsidian shard warm in his fist. They'd taken his armor, his weapons, his dignity, left him with the stone and the ghosts. Alara's voice, laughing. You always were a terrible diplomat. He'd let them catch him. Walked into the enforcer's ambush with his hands raised. Why? The question squirmed in his gut. Redemption, fatigue, or just the need to see Jarrow's face when they realized he'd sacrificed nothing, given nothing. The cell door hissed. Senator Vraxis filled the frame, his gelatinous form quivering with fury. The Corsairs are at Vendara's doorstep. You did this. Kael didn't look up. You denied us a seat. We pulled up a chair. Help us stop them, or we'll broadcast your execution galaxy-wide. He closed his eyes, saw Alara's hand slipping from his, saw Jarrow's sister spaced into the void. Burn heaven to save hell. I'll need my armor, he said. Nice. The hangar bay throbbed with panic. Senators huddled behind energy shields, their opulent robes clashing with the stench of ion engines. Kael strapped on his chestplate, the obsidian shard clicking into place. Jarrow stood across the bay, their helmet discarded, green eyes blazing. You knew I'd betray you, they said. Kael tightened a gauntlet. You're Ventari, it's what you do, and you're human, you survive. He met their gaze. Today that's enough. The Corsair fleet filled the view screen, jagged ships, their hulls studded with stolen weapons. Kael's lips curved, a predator's grin. Let them come. He boarded the dropship, its engine screaming like a dying world. Chapter 3. The dropship screamed through Vendara's atmosphere, its hull groaning under the strain of artificial gravity wells. Kael Reyes braced himself against the shuddering bulkhead, his armor still stinking of the Senate brig's sterile contempt. Outside the viewport, the sky was a sickly emerald, holographic storm projections flickering like a dying god's pulse. Lies within lies, he thought. Even now, the Ventari couldn't bear to show their utopia's true face. Rolling meadows, and glass cities hidden beneath the facade of a gas giant's wrath. The obsidian shard at his chest hummed, warm as Alara's breath on his neck. She'd have laughed at their fragility. The Corsair armada hung in low orbit, jagged ships spitting fire into Vendara's shield grid. Kael's retinal display flickered with tactical data, Senate frigates crumbling, civilian transports scuttling like terrified insects. He clenched his cybernetic hand, the joints hissing. This is what you wanted. Chaos, consequences. But the face in his mind wasn't the Corsair warlords. It was Jarrow's, green eyes wide, with betrayal as he'd let the Senate take him. Sacrifice or strategy. The line blurred these days. The dropship lurched, throwing him against a harness. A rookie soldier vomited in the corner, the acrid stench mixing with ozone. Kael closed his eyes. Alara's voice, steady as bedrock. You don't get to die yet. Not until you fix what you broke. Nas. Vendara's command bunker was a tomb of white marble and panic. Senators huddled around holograms, their opulent robes clashing with the sweat-slick fear in the air. Kael strode past them, boots echoing. The Ventari general, a quivering blob in a humwasher, spun to face him. Your pirates breached the western shield segment. You will stop them. Kael didn't slow. I need a geo-scan of the mantle. Now, we are not your Deathworld slaves. He slammed a seismic charge onto the holodable. The senators flinched. Your garden world sits on a liquid crystal mantle, unstable. You've been pumping it full of stabilizers for centuries. He leaned in, close enough to see his reflection in the general's bubble. I can turn it into a weapon, or you can die clean. Choose. Silence, thick and sour. The general's tendrils spasmed. Give him what he wants. The data flooded his neural link. Pressure gradients, tectonic stress points. Vendara was an eggshell, its crust thinned by reckless terraforming. Kael's fingers danced across the holomap, marking targets. Here, A fault line beneath the Corsair ground forces. There, a glacial reservoir ripe for flash boiling. Alara's equations glowed in his mind, her ghost murmuring corrections. Balance, always balance. A shadow fell across the display. Jero stood in the doorway, face gaunt, their Ventari bioluminescence dimmed to a corpse glow. The Corsairs took the eastern hydroponic sector. They're herding civilians into the streets. Kael didn't look up. Sealed the bulkheads. Flood the zone with argon. There are children down there, and there'll be corpses everywhere, if they breach the core. He finally met their gaze. You knew the cost when you sold me out. Jero's jaw trembled. You thought mercy existed here. He returned to the holomap. It doesn't. The battlefield was a symphony of ruin. Kael crouched in a shattered observatory, his rifle scope tracking Corsair scouts. Vendara's real sky peeked through the failing hologram. Azure, innocent, a mockery. He fired. A pirate crumpled. 7 shots, 7 kills. Alara had hated his precision. Geologists should build, not break, she'd said. Welding a magma vent stabilizer. He'd kissed her then, lips tasting of sulfur and hope. A rumble shook the ground. Right on time. He'd triggered the first quake, a controlled tremor in the mantle. The earth split, swallowing a Corsair artillery column. Screams echoed, brief and bright. Kael moved west, boots crunching on glass shards. Jero found him at the edge of a diamond hailstorm, their suits scorched. The Senate's retreating. They'll leave us. Let them. Kael adjusted his gauntlet's seismograph. The core's destabilizing. We've got minutes. You're dooming us all. He grabbed their arm. You want to save your sister's legacy. Act like she did. For a heartbeat, Jero's mask cracked. Grief, rage, a flicker of Lys's defiance. Then they nodded. Nas, the molten-glass hurricane, rose from Vendara's heart, a swirling leviathan of liquid fire and razor-edged debris. Kael's team, miners, mercenaries, a disgraced Senate pilot, huddled in the eye, their faces lit hellish red. This is suicide, the pilot yelled. Kael strapped on his lava board, the obsidian shard glowing. Stay here, you're ash in 10 minutes. Follow me, you might burn. He glanced at Jero. Coming. They grabbed a board. Someone must keep you honest. The storm swallowed them. Glass shards screamed past, etching his armor. Kael weaved through the chaos, the board's thrusters roaring, lava surfing on Aya, Alara laughing as he nearly cooked his boots. The memory was a lifeline. A Corsair gunship emerged from the haze. Kael banked hard, launching a seismic charge. The shockwave shattered the ship's hull. Jero whooped, the sound raw and human. The warlord's flagship loomed ahead, a blackened scar in the storm. Kael's comlink crackled. Deathworld. The warlord spat. You sold us lies. I gave you truth. Kael aimed his rifle. You just didn't like the taste. The shot pierced the flagship's reactor. The explosion lit the hurricane gold. Jero fell. As the storm collapsed, a glass shard through their chest. Kael caught them, their blood searing his hands. Lys would have liked you, they gasped. Tell her I'm sorry. Tell her yourself. Their bioluminescence faded. The storm died. Vendara's true sky dawned, pristine and mocking. Kael knelt in the ashes, Jero's body cooling in his arms. The obsidian shard hummed, Alara's voice a whisper. Duty's done, now live. But the datapad in his pocket weighed heavy. Corsair coordinates to other utopias. The fight wasn't over. He stood, the sunrise at his back. Chapter 4. The Senate chamber's once pristine walls were scarred now, gouged by stray artillery fire, and streaked with the soot of dying holograms. Kael Reyes stood at the center of the devastation, his boots rooted to the cracked onyx floor, as if the planet itself sought to claim him. The air reeked of ionized metal and the sour tang of Vendari fear. Their bioluminescent forms huddled in clusters like wounded glowworms. The reinforced chair they'd built for him loomed at the edge of the dais, its alloy frame bolted with asteroid iron, and studded with Senate sigil.
A throne of thorns. A cage, he thought. Another kind of volcano. The lead Vendari delegate oozed forward, its gelatinous body quivering inside a fresh containment bubble. A seat for humanity, it intoned, the words slithering through the chamber's battered resonators. A symbol of mutual respect. Kael's hand drifted to the obsidian shard at his chest, its edges worn smooth by weeks of absent stroking. Alara's face flickered in his mind, her smile as she'd handed him that first seismic stabilizer prototype, the way her eyes crinkled when she called him a lava-brained poet. He turned from the chair, its shadow stretching toward him like a claw. Respect isn't welded from fear. You want to atone. He tossed a data crystal onto the dais. Build shelters for the Corsair's slaves. Use her designs. The crystal glowed faintly, Alara's life's work etched into its core. Geoengineering schematics, sustainable energy grids, everything the Senate had dismissed as Deathworld naivete. The delegate recoiled, tendrils spasming. Preposterous. We are not charity drones. No, Kael's voice was a tectonic grind. You're scavenger. But you'll do it. Because I know where the next Vendara is. The silence that followed was a living thing, pregnant with dread. He let it fester, savoring the way their bioluminescence dimmed. They'll comply, he knew, not for honor, but for the same reason they'd hidden their paradise. Shame was a sharper whip than any pirate's blade. Nah. The hangar bay was a graveyard of broken ships. Kael picked through the wreckage, his armor's servos whining under the weight of a salvaged thruster pack. Jiro's family waited by a derelict freighter, a Vendari mother and 2 hybrids, their humanoid frames tinged with faint bioluminescence. The girl, no older than 10, clutched a frayed plush toy shaped like a star whale. You're the lava man, she said, eyes wide. The one who killed the sky. Kael knelt the obsidian shard catching the dim light. I broke a lie. Your Uncle Jiro. He built the truth. The mother stepped forward, her voice a fragile thing. They'll hunt us. For his betrayal. They'll try. He handed her a encrypted drive. Coordinates to a rogue asteroid belt. Sensors can't track it. You'll be safe. She hesitated. Why? The answer lodged in his throat, barbed and bloody. Because Jiro died for a lie. Because Alara's ghost won't let me sleep. Instead he nodded to the freighter. Ship stocked. Go. As the engines roared to life, the girl pressed the star whale into his hand. For the lava lady, she whispered. He watched them vanish into the starfield, the toy warm in his grip. The lab was dark, save for the flicker of Alara's hologram. Kael slumped into her old chair, the leather cracked and still smelling faintly of her citrus shampoo. The Corsair datapad lay before him, its screen bloated with stolen coordinates. Utopia 3, Elysian Vale, a dozen hidden paradises. Burn them all. The star whale's glass-bead eyes gleamed accusingly. Alara's hologram stirred, her projection glitching at the edges. You look terrible, she said, the AI approximation of her voice too bright, too alive. Miss me that much? The Senate's broadcasting your speech. Redemption through infrastructure. She grinned, pixelated, and perfect. Since when do you do diplomacy? Since you made me. He activated the stabilizer blueprint on the main screen. A city built atop a dormant supervolcano, its geothermal veins pulsing with clean energy. They're calling it New Reykjavik. First of 50. The hologram's smile softened. You kept the promise. He touched the screen, the blueprints blurring. Not yet. There's more. Kael. Her projection flickered, a ghost of her old sternness. You've given enough. Let someone else fight. The datapad buzzed. Utopia 3's defense schematic scrolled past. Weak points. Shield harmonics. One strike. One last burn. The star whale stared. The freighter's engines hummed in his bones. He shut off the datapad. Earth's dawn broke over the caldera, its light gilding the lava flows in hues of amber and blood. Kael stood at the crater's edge, his lubberboard slung across his back. The stabilizer array hummed below, converting the volcano's rage into light for 1,000 homes. Alara's hologram materialized beside him, her form hazy in the rising steam. You're really doing it. Surfing retirement. Calling it a sabbatical. He secured his helmet, the obsidian shard glowing faintly. Heard the Andromeda colonies need a geologist. She laughed, the sound echoing through the crater. Liar, you'll be back. He stepped onto the board, the magma's heat kissing his boots. Keep the lights on till then. The lava surged. He dropped into the flow, the world narrowing to the board's hum, the shard's warmth, the weightless thrill of the fall. Above him Ilara's hologram flickered once, a silent salute, before dissolving into the smoke. Behind, buried in the stabilizer's core, the Corsair datapad slept. For now.